Good afternoon, everybody. Car and Biker here. Just heading home after the ride out from my last video. I want to overtake this car, but you've got to be a bit wary after a ride out when you're near the end point, just in case the police have set up the speed vans just nearby. Not that I would ever speed, of course, but you know, you've got to be careful. I'm just saying, you've got to be careful. So there's a few bikes around at the minute. There was a lot of bikes at the ride out. It was really good. Quite a few now leaving, filled with coffee and tea. Time to head home. I'm going to go watch the highlights of the Formula 1 with Max Verstappen winning everything. I'm not paying for it this year. I'm being too partisan. I was looking at a news website the other day, a motorcycle news website. It might even have been Motorcycle News, MCN. And I was quite surprised at what I saw. I've seen recently more and more larger capacity Chinese bikes starting to appear. 450s, 600s, that kind of thing. I'm sure there are bigger ones out there as well. Quite a few kind of adventure style bikes. Some of them that to my eyes look a little bit weird. They look kind of squished, as if somebody's created a bike that's not quite the right size. But I noticed that this news story about Sinnis, the Chinese manufacturer, and it kind of made my my eyebrows lift a little bit. And it was to do with warranty. I think it's quite an interesting move. Going back quite a few years now, probably over a decade in fact, might even be two, you had car companies like Hyundai, who were a Korean car company, not Chinese, but they had that bad name in this country for, I guess because people didn't really know what to expect from a Korean car, and the styling was dubious at best for a lot of them. And then they started working on improving the styling and improving all of the equipment that you got as standard with a car. And then they did something that really made a difference, because people were unsure of reliability. And by then, Hyundai were a reliable manufacturer, but there was still this kind of hangover of people thinking maybe they're not that reliable. So what they did was they introduced a very big warranty. Now, if I recall correctly, I think Hyundai was 5 years and their sister company Kia was 7, but it might be the other way around, which is a huge warranty compared to cars being 2 or 3 years in general. And Sinnis have just done the same. So they've just announced they're going to give a 7-year warranty on their bikes, up against people like Honda and Kawasaki and BMW and so on, giving 2 in the main and occasionally 3. It just made me think, are Sinnis aiming to do a Hyundai? Are they aiming to dispel the idea that the bikes are not reliable? Because if they are, then definitely you would imagine that they have put the effort in. Otherwise that warranty is going to cost them a lot of money. And it makes you think, or it made me think, is this the point where we get to that that point where the Chinese bikes really start to take over in the same way that Japanese bikes did in the past, and that the Japanese cars did in the past, and to some degree your Korean cars have had a big impact too? Now, I've never owned a Chinese bike. I have known people who have owned them with hugely different experiences. So Graham had his little Sinnis 250, and I don't think he really had any serious problems with it. He had a little problem once with his speedo cable, but that got sorted out fairly easily. I don't think he had a great deal of issue other than that. And I have known people at the other end where they've had things that on the metals have rusted really quickly, and in some cases have actually snapped. which is definitely a worry. I wouldn't want to be on a bike where something snaps. And yeah, so I guess they are variable potentially, or they have been variable. But are they anymore? I'm intrigued. All those out there who've got Chinese bikes, particularly the larger capacity ones, I'd be intrigued to know what your experience has been. Especially as I'm potentially looking at a second bike as a kind of cheap runaround and pillion bike. You know, Honda and Kawasaki and Yamaha are probably my first go-to, but maybe there's a bike out there that could be for me. It's interesting how it's gone with the Korean companies, because they started off being cheaper. When I bought my Hyundai Coupe, the amount I was paying was a similar amount to what you'd pay for a mid-sized family car, but you were getting a coupe that was quite stylish, because it was quite a nice looking thing by then. It was the third revision of it, the last revision of it. The previous revisions had been not nearly as good. The first revision of that, I think, was horrendous looking thing. Some people will disagree with me, but it just felt like it had been designed by too many people at once. Still got Dave and Steve with me. But that warranty thing really did make me think, well, this is worth the risk. And then when I got it and I found it had every extra under the sun, so the first car I'd ever seen that had both an electric sunroof and climate control, and all the electronic aids you can imagine, for the price of, as I say, a mid-sized family car that would be bottom spec. Now where they've ended up being though is their cars, now that they've got that reliability, now that people know that they're reliable cars and what have you, the prices have definitely increased again. I wonder, is this the start of that pattern for the Chinese companies like Sinnis? I think could be interesting times ahead. What do you think? Let me know in them there comments. Would you be convinced, if you've never been convinced before of the idea of a Chinese bike, would you now be convinced to give them a try, knowing that for 7 years at least something going wrong would be rectified? Anyway, I'll just leave that one there with you. Just a little one. I'm going to enjoy my ride now because I like this road and I don't want to be concentrated on talking and riding at the same time. So I'll just say thank you for watching, ride safe everyone, and I'll talk to you all again soon.